Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Taylor and today I'm going to be telling you about the graphic novels that I read in 2025. So I have read just under 170 books this year. So instead of doing like a whole year roundup, my plan is to just tell you what some of my favorite books are, and then because I've only read about 19 graphic novels, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about all of them. If that sounds good to you, if you like graphic novels, or if you're wanting to kind of get into graphic novels, don't know where to start, I had a pretty good year with them. I'm going to be talking about 19 of them today. Don't forget to give this video a like, subscribe to the channel for more content like this. If you like to read or crochet, we do a lot of that on this channel. And let's get into it. I've rambled enough. So these are in chronological order, or at least most of them are. So the first book I have here is Gyo by Junji Ito. I actually read like 14 or 15 books by Junji Ito this year, so most of this list that I'm going to be telling you about today are Junji Ito books. So Junji Ito is a horror manga author. So like here's what like the end papers look like. So essentially we have like these fish that start crawling out of the ocean, and they're basically terrorizing the island of Okinawa. And it's so good. I feel like there's not so much that I can say when it comes to graphic novels just because they are shorter, or we're going to be talking about a lot of short story compilations here. So if it feels like I'm not saying a lot, it's for the sake of like spoilers or things like that. But essentially this is about these fish crawling out of the ocean, terrorizing Okinawa. And the first two people that we kind of start the book with, they're dating. And the girl starts smelling something and she's like, it smells like rotten fish and I can't get it out of my nostrils. What am I supposed to do? And her boyfriend's like, Bro, I don't know. And she's like, no, seriously, like it smells like rotten fish. I literally cannot handle this. And the thing up here says the death stench creeps. So that is like, oh, I really like this one. I will say, of all of Junji Ito's works that I have read, this one made my tummy hurt the most. So if you have an extremely weak stomach, I wouldn't recommend this one in particular. But if you're like, I need to read all of Junji Ito's works, this one is very, very fun. Next, I'm going to lump these next two together. We have The Liminal Zone Volume 1 and Volume 2 by Junji Ito. These ones were my favorite short story collections. So I'm reading his book right now. It's called Uncanny: The Origins of Fear, and it's about how he came to be a horror manga artist. And he talks about how in these spreads you're kind of limited in the amount of pages you can do, but particularly in Volume 1 and 2 of The Liminal Zone, he was able to make these short stories kind of as long as you want. He wasn't beholden to a 30 to 45 page limit, which I thought was really, really cool. I think that he was able to flesh out things really, really well, and I definitely want to own copies of both of these. Next is Heartstopper Volumes 1 through 5 by Alice Osman. In this, we are following Charlie and Nick as they are falling in love, essentially. So we have Charlie, who is out, he's gay, and then we have Nick, who's not quite sure. He thinks he's straight, but he doesn't know. But then he finds himself really liking Charlie, and it's about like the self-discovery, coming out to your parents for the first time, growing up, going to college, what do you want to do? It's this like coming of age story. And so volumes 1 through 5 are out. I think Alice Osman is planning on doing a 6-volume series for this. So it'll be one more book and then the series will be completed. I do want to own these, but I want to wait until they all come out and then I can just buy like a box set or something. Next is Ramina by Junji Ito. This is about a planet that is like on its way to devour Earth. So it starts out with a gentleman who discovers the planet and he names it after his daughter, Ramina. And as the planet Ramina gets closer to Earth, it's kind of like gobbling up everything in its way. And so the news does what it does best, and it causes a panic in everybody. And they're like, this scientist who named it after his daughter, and everyone's like, hey, yo, we gotta kill the daughter. We gotta kill the daughter so that this planet won't come get us. And it kind of divulges from there. It's really fun. It's really good. It's a quick read. Next is Censor, also by Junji Ito. This one was definitely, I think, the most out there. This is also more of a bind up. It's probably about as long as Gyo. Same with Ramina. But essentially, it's supposed to be like light and dark. But the people who are like representing the light are essentially like Cousin It in a way. Like they're just full of hair for some reason. And they just like grow. I don't know. It was very odd. It was probably like, I get it. I get a lot of things. I will say this is probably the only Junji Ito thing where I was like, I don't get it. I don't. Next is Deserter by Junji Ito. This is one of his first bind-up story collections. Like, these are some of his, like, first stories. And the story of the Deserter is actually really cool. It is placed between, I believe it's, like, the Korean War and the Pacific War or something. And there is a person who deserted the war who's living with a family. He falls in love with the family, like the daughter in the family, and she loves him back, and it kind of divulges from there. It's horror manga, so I'm going to kind of leave it at that. But I thought that the concept behind the story was really, really cool. Next is On a Sunbeam by Tilly Walden. I thought this book was super, super cool because there are no men in this novel. It's essentially an entire universe where all the people there are women or they're non-binary, but like assigned female at birth. And it's about first love, coming back to your first love, kind of holding a torch for somebody, yearning, wanting to save them. It's good. I feel like the beginning is a little rough though, because it's a fat boy. It's like 500 pages. The first 80 pages were a bit rough for me. I was just like, what is going on? Because it starts out in this like academy setting. We're kind of like dual POVing it. But once you really get into the story, it's very good. And I thought that it was very sweet. Next is Ally by Junji Ito. And I'm going to be so real with you. I don't remember too much from that one. I do think like all of Junji Ito's works are worth reading. Like I really, really, really like his stuff. I don't remember. So I guess that would tell you where it is on the ranking here. But we're just going to move on to No Longer Human, also by Junji Ito. This is a manga adaptation of a book. And there has been some speculation that I read on Reddit of whether or not Junji Ito did a faithful job of adapting the book. I personally really did not like this No Longer Human, his like rendition of it. I haven't read the novel, but I just was so confused the whole time as to what the point was. I feel like trying to portray this man's anxiety and his inability to be in the world was very odd. I don't recommend that one. It also had a few scenes in it where I was like really jarred, because for the most part, like Junji Ito doesn't have, it's not like super cruel. His books don't have weird like torture scenes or anything like that. It really is like supernatural sort of horror. But there were a few scenes in that, which I'm sure were from the novel, but I was like, whoa, I didn't know that I was signing up to see that. Next is Love Sickness by Junji Ito. This one was really, really good. So kind of the titular story that this is about, it's set in a town where they do crossroads readings. And so if you're at like a T intersection, there will be someone at the T who will be like covering their eyes and they'll be like, will I ever find love? And someone's supposed to be like, yeah, just like believe in yourself, love yourself, whatever. But there's like a character who's supposed to be like this hot bad boy, essentially, is like, no one's ever going to love you and you're going to die alone. And then within like 12 hours, these girls are self-exiting the earth and everyone's like, why? What's going on? And I thought that one was really, really cool. The way, so there's it's like a 5-chapter little bind up, and then there's other stories in there, but that one, it was really, really good. Next was Rent a Girlfriend by Riji Miyajima. And I didn't like this one so much. I was considering buying this when I was in Chicago because I was like, ooh, what an interesting concept. When really, I checked out the book from the library and I read it and I was like, oh, this boy's just an incel. Essentially, it was like this boy's girlfriend dumps him and he doesn't know why. And so to have some companionship, he goes on an app and rents a girlfriend to go on a date with him. And then he's like, I don't understand why you won't be my girlfriend. And she's like, you're using a service. I do this for money. And then like they end up at a date sort of thing, and his ex is like, hey, yeah, you pressured me, like you made me feel like gross and unsafe and you always wanted to like do things physical with me. And then the rent-a-girlfriend is like, I can't believe you would say that about him. Like, he's really nice and like you shouldn't air your dirty laundry. And it's like, whoa, 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 the girl's just speaking her truth. And after that happened, I was just like, no, there's no way I could go forth with this. So that one I don't recommend. Next is Shiver by Junji Ito. This one, the title story is about a girl who has like holes in her body. So trigger warning for, what is it? That trypta something with all the tiny holes fear. So yeah, she's like shivering because air is going through her body and people are trying to figure it out because so we're from the point of view of a boy and this girl that it's happening to is his neighbor. And so she's like waving like, hey, like, how are you? And he's like, oh my God, she's homeschooled and she's weird and she's got holes all over her body. I don't understand why. And, you know, things divulge from there. Next is Parasite Volume 1 by Hitoshi Iwaki. And this one I was thinking about buying and I was able to check it out from the library. This one was interesting. I think it just wasn't for me. It's very much more sci-fi-esque. So aliens come down and they're trying to basically shapeshift into humans. This bug gets into our main gentleman's hand. It's trying to get to his brain, but he like cuts it off and it like essentially makes the hand anthropomorphic. So this guy and his hand now are like at odds with each other, and they can, like, his hand can sense when other aliens are around, and so they're like, hey, yo, you didn't get to the brain, I have to kill you. So it was fun. I just don't think I need any more of it, but I think that if you are interested in things like that, definitely check this one out. Next was Mimosa by Archie Bongiovanni, and I can't recommend this one, to be quite honest with you. So this is about a group of queer people who are trying to meet new people. The concept is really good. So they start this like mature queer night at a gay bar. But essentially like all the people kind of take turns being really selfish to one another and like griping about money. And the person who we follow around the most is like having a really tough time dating because they cheated on their last partner, and now people know about it and they're like, well, I can't believe no one wants to sleep with me because they know that I cheated on my partner. And it's like, yeah, that's called kind of having a bad reputation based on your own actions. Like, what do you want? And then they go so far as to like tell their child that they wish that their child didn't exist to a certain extent. And I was like, ha ha ha. To me, there's no coming back from that. I cannot handle things like that. And it's like, oh, you know, I was just really going through a tough time. I'm like, your child is 8. You know, I just couldn't with that. So I don't recommend this one. Next is Frankenstein by Junji Ito. This is a manga version of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. I feel like it was a pretty faithful adaptation. I liked it a lot. I do want to own a copy of this. I felt that it was very good. I mean, obviously we're missing a lot of the nuance behind Frankenstein being that like a man wanted to create life, but then it's like not what he anticipated, so he just goes away essentially. So obviously we're missing a lot of that, but when it comes to like the bones of the plot points and stuff, it does a pretty good job. And then we have Junji Ito's Cat Diary. This was so cute. Really, really short. It's only like 120 pages. But it's just about how Junji Ito became a cat person after he married his wife, and it was really, really cute. And it even included like real photos of his cat. Oh my god. It was so much fun to read. Next was Moan by Junji Ito. This is the most recent Ito that I've read, and I gotta say this one was kind of forgettable, the fact that I already don't remember. I know that the titular story, so like essentially we have the short story collections, but the like short story collections are always named after one of them, and so the Moan one was about shower drains, about moaning within shower drains. That was crazy. That was wild. I mean, it was a good time, but that was wild. And then the last graphic novel that I read in 2025 was Moss by Art Spiegelman. This is a World War II account of Art Spiegelman's father, Vladek, as he is trying to hide from the Nazis. So in volume 1, it's him trying to hide from the Nazis or keep living a somewhat normal life in Poland after the invasion of the Nazis, and then volume 2 was about his time in Auschwitz and how he was able to survive it. This is considered a banned book in many places in the United States, but I feel like that is a disservice to the story that this book tells. And I feel like this book for a graphic novel is super self-effacing. Art Spiegelman is the son of Vladek, and he talks a lot about how he wants to tell the story accurately, how he wants to tell how his father is a victim, but his father's also not a perfect person. So Vladek is not a perfect victim, which I think is a very complicated thing that I think he did really, really well. I loved this story so much. Obviously, it was hard to read, which is probably why, you know, we have the mouse and the cats and all these things, because we have to separate it somehow in our brains, all the cruelty that people went through, especially because this is considered to be something that, you know, teenagers can read. I think that this is the perfect medium for something like that. And those are all the graphic novels that I read in the month, or in the year of 2025. Let me know down in the comments below if you like reading graphic novels, what your favorite one is. That includes manga as well. I would love to know. And don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. And I will see you guys next time. Bye!